السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعين به ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فهو المهتد ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله بلغ رسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح الأمة وكشف الغمة وجاهد في سبيل الله حق جهاده حتى أتاه اليقين، ونحن على ذلك من الشهيدين. أما بعد، جزاكم الله خير, my dear brothers and sisters. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless all of you, and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to surround us with His angels. Brothers and sisters, we're going to continue our series to talk about common sins and their cure. And today we're going to be talking about a new sin. And unfortunately, we tend to mainly talk about the common sins that exist within the Ummah. And the sin of today is mixing between genders. Mixing between genders. Brothers and sisters, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, have told us that ما تركت بعدي فتنة أضر على الرجال من النساء. I have not left among you a greater trial, a greater fitna, more than women on men. So, Allah, one of the greatest fitna that for men and vice versa is women. So, brothers and sisters, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have given us parameters and conditions and regulations and protocols when it comes to how a man and woman would deal with each other. And as long as these rules are followed, then everything and everybody is in a safe side. As long as we tend to cross these rules, that's when the people go into troubles. And that's why, one of the first important disasters that have occurred in the Ummah after people have taken this issue lightly, which is why so many marriages, why so many new marriages are destroyed. That's the number one thing that as a consequence of mixing between genders. People say why the divorce rate are so high in certain countries. Why a lot of times, if you ask my grandfather or even my father generation, divorce was, and it used to happen, but it was uncommon. Like, for instance, now in some countries, the divorce rate have went up to 40 and 50%. Why? And because of the fact that people have been exposed to other genders. People sometimes have a pre-marital relationship before marriage. People see each other. People go out and talk and etc. And that's why if people are on these relationships before marriage, you think all of a sudden marriage is a pill that is going to fix everything? No, of course not. I mean, it's possible, but don't expect that you're going to be, before marriage or last week before you get married, you have someone could have 5 or 6 girlfriends, and all of a sudden he's now, he's only going to be with women. And the same thing when you have a sister who is talking to this guy and joking with this guy and seeing this guys and go out with this guy, and all of a sudden you tell her tomorrow you're going to be with only talking to one guy, she's not gonna. So that's why it's important, brothers and sisters, that to obey these rules for your safety and for your future. And in some countries, they say that there is a divorce every 6 minutes. You better believe that. Every 6 minutes, there is a divorce. And why? Because people feel insecure. People feel insecure, and because of how much the media have made marriage into something that is of bearing rather than of stability. And that's another topic that we need to think about. But definitely one of the biggest causes of divorce is mixing between the genders. And you always have to ask yourself this question: can Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless a relationship that started out with the haram? Yeah, someone would say, Wallahi, I saw my wife before we get married and I went out with her. If you think Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to bless that marriage? Anything that starts in haram, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to bless it. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have told us, فَأْتُوا الْبُيُوتَ مِنْ أَبْوَابِهَا. If you want to enter a house, enter the house from the front door. enter the house by asking the father and the mother for their daughter hand, rather than going out and seeing them and calling them and chit-chatting with them and sending them text messages. You would not be happy if someone have done this to your own daughter. You would not be happy if someone have done this to your own sister, and etc. So just like you don't agree onto this to someone to do this to your own family, don't do it to others. And that's the issue. And don't think, brothers and sisters, that, and I'm going to get to talking to that, that mixing is have to be physical mixing. Not necessarily. Now we live in a world where sometimes someone could feel isolated, you know, whether it's through the phone, whether it's through social media. We'll get to that later on today. But the point is that, again, one of the prime causes of failure of new marriages is definitely mixing. The second thing is not only new marriages, but also marriages that had been happening for a long time. How many times, whether it was a husband or wife, belittle these rules and these regulations, and they expose themselves to foreign women and foreign men to the point that it would break the love. It would break the mutual feeling that they have toward each other. And what happened is this is obviously a door of the shaitan. It's because the man, when he starts seeing other women, what is the very first thing that's going to come into his mind? He's going to compare his wife with these women. And when a woman exposes herself to other men, what's the first thing that's going to come to her mind? She's going to compare these men with her husband. And obviously, a lot of times, what's going to happen? They look at things are superficially. This guy is cute, but she does not know how he looks like when he wakes up. You know, this he looks nice, but he does not know what he does beyond that point. We always tend to take things, based on the looks, but everybody have their own issues and everybody have their own problem, but a lot of times we tend to act in front of each other. So a lot of times, one of the common cause for failure of long lasting marriages is the same thing: mixing between the gender. And Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "ليس منا من خبب المرأة على زوجها." This is a very important hadith. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, he is not among us who the one who instigate a woman against her husband. Why? When someone, subhanAllah, brother and sister, imagine a sister or a brother, he's telling this woman about her husband in a negative way, or a sister telling this woman against her husband. And why? What's going to happen? Why? Prophet ﷺ said, he's not from us. Why? Because he's breaking a family. He's destroying a family. Imagine a sister is telling a sister or instigating her against her husband, or vice versa too. A brother instigating his brother against his wife. Oh, you don't know why he did this, and etc. And this, instead of the wife, it should be the one that you go back to. You're going back to talk to others about your wife. Billah. So that's something that, brothers and sisters, you have to make sure that you take in consideration. The third thing, understand that, brothers and sisters, mixing is the weapon of the shaitan. Mixing is the weapon of the shaitan. It's actually one of the prime weapons of the shaitan. Because we talked about this before. When you start out with the haram, this haram is going to lead to other harams. You are exposing someone to all these shahawat, all these desires, and all these haram desires. That's the third thing. The fourth thing is inhiyarul iman. Inhiyarul iman. You would destroy someone iman by having mixing between the genders. Why is that? Brothers and sisters, one of the tabi'in, his name is Sa'id ibn Musayyib, what he said? He said, ما يأس الشيطان من ابن آدم قد إلا أتاه من قبل النساء. He said, the shaitan always, sometimes, he become despaired from son of Adam. He become despaired from son of Adam. And how he gets to him is through women. It's through women. So it's important, brothers and sisters, that you don't utilize these things. You don't open the door to these things, because it's not going to make you involved and indulge in committing sins, but also, but also is going to is going to decrease your faith. It's going to decrease your iman. You know, and that's something, brothers and sisters, that maybe some people they don't care, but at least as believers we care about the fluctuation of our iman. We always want to be a better mu'min and better believers. But imagine if someone is get used to committing the sin over and over and over and over, what do you think is going to happen to their iman? When someone meets a woman over and over and over and over, what's going to happen? Maybe the first time he would lower his gaze, the third time he would, second time, third time he would lower, but after that ulful ma'siyah he would become used to the sin. And when you get used to this, then you think your iman is going to be the same thing as you started. Of course not. Of course not. The fifth aspect of mixing, the fifth negative consequences of mixing between genders, and this is something that many people tend to look at, is what we call how your jealousy will become decreased. And this is indeed true. Part of natural human being is that he should have jealousy, and this is normal. Whether you're a Muslim or non-Muslim, it's natural for someone to have jealousy over their wife, over their daughter, over his sister. You know, but when someone, for instance, uh, become exposed to the sin so much of mixing, his jealousy become less. You know, and Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said what he said: ثلاث قد حرم الله عليهم الجنة. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said three people that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would not make them enter Jannah. Who are these three people? He said مدمن الخمر, someone who is what? Drinks a lot, drinks alcohol a lot. والعاق, one who disrespect and disobey his parents intentionally. He would not enter Jannah. He would not enter Jannah, the one who disobey his parents. Al-Aq. And the third person, the youth. The man who have no jealousy. The man who have what? No jealousy. And what does it mean that who have no jealousy? Meaning he have no jealousy over not necessarily just his wife, not jealousy over his sister, no jealousy over his daughter, you know. And that's why يعني the Ibn al-Qayyim, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be pleased with him, what he said أصل الدين هو الغيرة. يعني the essence of our deen is غيرة, that you should, it's normal for someone to have غيرة. Even animals have غيرة. Animals have jealousy over their partners, you know. And all of a sudden you human beings you become no jealous, and that's what this is the characteristics of the pig. And we talked about this many times. You know, the pig have no jealousy. Do you want to have the characteristics of a pig? Because the more you commit this sin, and the more you expose to sins, your jealousy will decrease. Your jealousy would decrease. And this is something that a fire that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would put down in the heart of a believer, in the heart of the people who sins a lot. You know? One time Ali bin Abi Talib, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be with him, what he said بلغني, he was complaining to people around him. He said بلغني أن نساءكم يزاحمن العروج في الأسواق. I have heard, he's complaining to the people that he saw. He said I saw that your women are they're intermingling and pushing men in the market. أما تغارون, don't you have jealousy? You know, لا خير في من لا يغار. There's no goodness in someone who does not have jealousy. He's telling the men, you don't have to have jealousy. Yani, how you let your men, your women, you know, they push each other in the market. You don't have no jealousy. And there is no goodness of someone who doesn't have any jealousy. Okay, so that's something you need to think about. Okay. The sixth thing, understand that the more you mix, and the more there is mixing between the genders, the more the fire of desire is going to become higher and higher. And this is normal. And you don't need me to tell you this. The more you expose yourself, the more desires that you're going to put yourself through. And the more desires, obviously, is going to lead to some sort of sin. Some sort of sin. The last but not least, the negative consequences of mixing, it causes a lot of anxiety. Because what happened? A lot of times people expose themselves to things or people that they could not possibly have a relationship with. And and when someone fall in love, and the love absorbs them, and they're in this lovely relationship, they're always thinking about it, and after a couple of months, they broke off. Constant anxiety and worrying, and he loved me, and he loved me not. And for subhanallah, we're not against people loving each other. Love in a halal way. Love through the front door, you know by knocking the house of her parents. This is appropriate love. You don't have to worry about you know whether she's gonna dump you, or you're gonna dump her. It's such a superficial, yani, and very weak relationship, that anybody at any time, oh, I decided to break off. Really? That's what this relationship have no essence whatsoever. So the point here, the point here is the following. Um, how can we, how can we, how can we cure that? How can we cure that? So the number one cure is what? Lowering your gaze. The number one cure is lowering your gaze. And what we say, what do we mean by lowering your gaze? Not looking. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, قل للمؤمنين يغضوا من أبصارهم, right? Tell the believers, the men and women, to lower their gaze. Okay? So what does it mean to lower your gaze? The scholars said it's combined of three things. Number one is that you don't look at the aura of a woman. And all the woman is aura. Yeah, you don't look at her. For instance, you don't look at the place of aura, whether it was in anything that is going to be attractive to the woman. Normally, technically, she's all this can be subjective. Yeah, but the point is, don't look at the aura. Don't look at the aura of a woman. Second thing is, don't look at her when you have desires. Okay, and third thing is, don't look, beyond the first look, or beyond, or too much looking, because when the more you look, the more is going to make people think of other things. And that's these are the three rules. Don't look at the aura, don't look with shahwa, and don't look too much. Don't look too much. And that's why Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and that's why Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what he said, he told to Ali radiallahu anhu, وَلَا تَتَّبِعِ النَّظْرَ النَّظْرَ. Don't follow a look with another look. So the very first look is for you, but that doesn't mean that you look for 20 seconds. Yeah, the first look is for you, وشير like the second, but the second look is not for you. The second look is considered to be a sin. So when someone read the ayah, قل للمؤمنين يغضوا من أبصارهم, say the believing women and men to lower their gaze, what does that mean? We have two choices. It's either we obey, or we want to disobey. So are you obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when he tell you not to look? Are you willing to compromise in your iman? Are you willing to open the gate of shaitan? Are you willing to know that all the disastrous aftermath effect that is going to happen afterward? And that's what Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he knows this. And one time a man was beside Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he saw a woman passing. He kept looking. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam moved his head, and then he looked again. Then the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam moved his head. Then he looked at it, and then Prophet moved his head again. And Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, كل عين زانية. An eye can commit zina, can commit adultery. And وزنا العين another. The way a man commits zina, or a woman can commit zina with his eyes. So it's important, brothers and sisters, to consider these things. The second thing is that how can we prevent mixing or opening that door? Is that if the sister follows the correct hijab. And we talked about a whole episode about hijab. So as long as sister is wearing the hijab, it's going to decrease that potential. People like when someone is not going to, you're not going to incite people to look at you when a sister is wearing a hijab. I mean, that does not justify him for the look, but but when a sister does not wear the hijab properly, it's going to open the doors for people to look and for people to mix with her. Okay. Third thing, understand the etiquette of dealing with men. What does it mean? Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَلَا تَخْضَعْنَا بِالْقَوْلِ, don't soften your voice, you know. وَلَا يَضْرُبْنَ بِأَرْجُلِهِنْ, do not يعني, move in a way that is going to be attractive to the other gender, you know. Uh, and Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us that in a correct hadith of a woman who does not go on to smell Jannah, مَائِلَاتُ مُمِيلَاتُ, those who twist and turn. And all this, so hijab is not necessarily, when we talked about this many times before, it's not necessarily the coverage of your face. No, it's the way you act, the way you conduct yourself, and the way you deal with men. That's part of your hijab too, you know. And that's something that you really have to pay close attention to. Okay. The fourth reason, the fourth way to protect yourself from mixing, okay, is for women to understand that it's haram for her to put perfume. We talked about this many times, that was authentic hadith, that if a woman puts her perfume on, it's like she have committed zina. But not only that, there is another hadith. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, لا تقبل صلاة المرأة فطيبت لهذا المسجد. A prayer of a woman is not accepted if she put perfume on to come to the masjid. What about if someone can put perfume so she could see guys? حتى ترتجع فتغتسل غسلها من الجنابة, until she goes back home and take a shower. See how disastrous that is? See how disastrous. So you're this is a message to all of the sisters. Your salah is not accepted if you go out and you put with perfume on. It's not going to be accepted unless you go home and you take a shower. And that's what Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has said. You know? So fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To you might think, oh, it's just perfume, but you guys don't know, and that's the problem that some of the sisters don't understand. You guys don't know how we men are affected by these things. They don't know that we men are weak. Yes, we are weak. To you, maybe it's nothing, but to men, it's very easy to excite a man, and this is something that women sometimes tend to overlook and don't understand. Like, oh, just they be a little. No. So this is something you have to really take in consideration. Also, how can we prevent mixing? Don't isolate yourself with another man. Simple as that. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, لا يجوز أن يعني إن ثالثهما الشيطان. مجتمع رجل وامرأة إلى ثالثهما الشيطان. There's no woman and men meet together in a closed room unless shaitan is a third person. Meaning what? He's going to incite them to do something. You know? Even if somebody is relative, even if somebody is related to you, and he's a mahram, he's not mahram. No. Don't say, Wallahi, he's my cousin. Wallahi, he is my brother-in-law. No. Prophet ﷺ, he warned the Sahaba, and he said, رَأَيْتُمُ الْحَمُ, يعني, have you seen what is a disaster? That's when someone thinks, oh, she's just my cousin, she's just my brother-in-law, my sister-in-law, it's okay. No, it's haram. You're not supposed to do that. And not only that, another way for us to stop committing to this is that we should avoid markets. Because when people go out and shop and things, this is where all the disaster these things comes in perspective, you know, and that's why we say that, the best places in the earth is whom? The masajid, the houses of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the worst places are what? The markets, the malls, and etc. People go out, and unfortunately, this is the way people flirt with the opposite gender. I mean, obviously there is more places now that they go out and do these things, but that's definitely one of the most common ones. The seventh point, and this is something extremely important, brothers and sisters, you must follow the rules of darura, the rules of extreme necessity when you're dealing with the opposite gender. Many people, brothers and sisters, when they deal with opposite genders, they take it very lightly. Meaning what? It's okay to joke. It's okay to hug. It's okay to shake hands. It's okay to be together. It's okay for me to check on her and call her over the phone and text her. And that's not okay. None of these things are okay, because none of these things are necessary, extremely necessary. When it's extremely necessary, then yes, it's okay. And here, there's no, you cannot avoid it. You have to call that individual for emergency or something that is of extreme necessity. But wallahi, I'm gonna check this sister because I want to make sure she is well, and I want to make sure that she, to tell her, may Allah cure you while you're sick. Are you her brother or sister? Who are you to her? Maybe if she have a brother, her natural brother, her brother, her father, her uncle can do that. But who are you? يعني again, it's going to open the door for things that you do not, and what underneath the slogan, love for you. Yeah, yeah, we need to check for on our brothers and sisters. Yeah, check on your brother, but not a sister that is not related to you. So fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and don't open doors that maybe you cannot afford, and you don't know the consequences of later on. Yeah, when it's extreme necessary, like for instance, you wanna, your mother have visited a family, and there is no way for you to touch base with her, or touch base with your mother, unless you call, that sister who was of that family. Then yes, this is necessary. So this is something that you have to really, deal with it in the extreme necessary. Um, One of the last point, I only have 2 points left. Brothers and sisters, in the past, it used to be just the markets, but nowadays almost everything. Yeah, and all the doors of social media became a way for mixing to happen. When someone texting, when someone messaging, going to private rooms, Zoom calls, all these things are the same way as mixing, because you and this person isolate yourself in that room, or isolate yourself within this atmosphere that no one knows what's happening between both of you, and one thing is going to lead to another. How many haram relationship have started because this guy have texted this girl and this girl texted this guy? So don't say, oh, it's just a text message. No, a lot of feelings could come, and can incite from these text messages and emojis and flower, and if it's necessary, then yes, wallahi, something of an emergency, something, then that's different. But beyond that, is considered to be haram, and that's why people now, you have people now addicted to social media. Like, for instance, there is something called IAD, Internet Addiction Disorder. Why? Because the people now, they're so merged in these things, is that they cannot get themselves out of it. Okay. Last but not least, is it's is important that the family, the modest family, limit the amount of, or the reasons for a sister to leave her house. If it's something necessary, yes, go. But whether no, 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 والله يعني every, I want to go out with this group of sisters, we want to go out. يا أخي, limit. If it's necessary, then yes. Prophet Muhammad صلى الله عليه وسلم, look what Prophet Muhammad صلى الله عليه وسلم said. المرأة عورة. Whole woman is what? عورة. فإذا خرجت استشرفها الشيطان. As soon as a woman leave her house, the shaitan will tell her, come, welcome. And that's what Prophet Muhammad صلى الله عليه وسلم told us. صلاة المرأة في بيتها أفضل من صلاتها في حجرها. يعني woman praying in her house is better than praying in the masjid. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have made it better for a woman to pray in the masjid, in her house, then you must go to the masjid. Yeah, we're not supposed to prevent women from going to the masjid, and Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us that if they want to. But the point is, what's beyond that? When there is limitless of reasons of leaving the house, whether it was, I want to run, I want to play golf, I want to play with movies and eat popcorn, and drink tea, and limit is not, again, nothing wrong, for someone to go out with his wife or his daughter, but when someone a sisters go out by herself, or a wife go out by herself for no necessary reasons, and to have fun, you're putting you're asking for trouble. But for someone to, yeah, for instance, and again, let's be realistic here. I'm not saying that it's haram to go all the time. No, I'm saying that we have to make sure, and once in a while, because wallahi, a group of good sisters, they had a halaqa somewhere, or they want to have a small party for one reason or another. Nothing wrong with that. Once in a while, but not every day, or once every two other day after day. No, limit, that's going to decrease the amount of what the mixing that's going to happen between men and women. So with that, I'll leave you. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide all of us, and I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to show us the truth. جزاكم الله خير. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.